Morning. The CDC's updated mask guidance prompting some companies to review their own policies, including Walmart, Costco, and Trader Joe's, as well as Starbucks, which says they will no longer require masks in stores for fully vaccinated customers. Joining us right now is Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He's the former FDA commissioner, of course, a CNBC contributor. He serves on the boards of Pfizer and Illumina. His latest op-ed in the Wall Street Journal this morning saying that the updated guidelines may actually encourage more Americans to get vaccinated. Doctor, good morning to you. So many questions over the weekend about this decision and really how businesses are responding. But I just want to take on your op-ed because when people talk about the quote-unquote science, I think there's two different kinds of sciences here. There's the science of getting infected, and then there's the behavioral science of what these kinds of rules and decisions do to getting people to actually take the vaccine. How much do you think that the decision was propelled by science versus behavioral science?
Look, I think the decision was propelled entirely by the CDC's reading of the science, and what they found and what they said is that people who've been vaccinated are far less likely to contract the virus and far less likely to transmit the virus. Remember, this has been an open question, even though we've all assumed that the vaccines dramatically reduce your risk of transmitting the virus or becoming asymptomatically infected. Now CDC has data demonstrating that, and based on that data, they came to a conclusion that there really isn't a lot of value in a fully vaccinated person wearing a mask in any circumstance unless they want to, or they're at high risk because of a pre-existing condition. And that's the decision they made. Now, what people are having misgivings about are the policy accommodations being made as a result of that scientific judgment, which is that many states and businesses are now lifting mask mandates. The bottom line is I don't think these mask mandates could have survived another week or two. Prevalence is collapsing. The positivity rate's 1.9%. So the worst thing you could say is maybe we could have eked out another week or two of these mask ordinances before we really had to lift them in a wholesale fashion because people would have just disobeyed them. So I don't know that that's really a fair criticism of the CDC at this point.
So, but here is the question. Are people who are unvaccinated going to walk into stores and not wear masks? And at the same time, I'd ask you, for children, I took my kids, we went shopping this weekend. They're wearing masks, but by the way, they're not wearing N95 masks. And so if there's somebody in that shop who should be wearing a mask who isn't, they're not protected. How do you actually change? How should everybody change their behavior or not as a function of this?
Look, I think we're getting to a phase right now, and this was inevitable, where we're going to need to judge our individual risks. Some people are going to choose to go unvaccinated. I think that's imprudent. Some people are going to be vaccinated but still believe that they're at some risk, perhaps because they have a pre-existing medical condition. They might choose to wear a mask in certain higher risk settings like public transport or a crowded store. I think that should be encouraged. I think it should be supported. People are going to have to make individual choices about their risk. People who are going to go maskless now we're going to go maskless anyway, post when these mandates lifted, and still choose not to get vaccinated. I think there will be people on the margin, though, that now, having seen that, we're lifting these mask mandates for people who are vaccinated, are going to be encouraged to now go out and get a vaccine. I don't think it's going to be 10%, but I think we might pick up another 2 to 5% of people. I think also the message that vaccines reduce transmission, they substantially reduce your likelihood of transmitting the virus, I think that's going to incentivize certain people to go out and get a vaccine, because a lot of people don't believe they're at personal risk from coronavirus, and perhaps they're not. They're young, they're healthy, but they do want to protect those around them. And so I think that's a strong message. I do think CDC should have hit that message more powerfully. If that was the basis for their decision, which is what they said it was the case, they should have been out front a little bit more with that, because I do think that there are people who will be incentivized to get vaccinated for that purpose.
So, Scott, do you support Walmart's decision, Starbucks' decision, effectively to remove the mask mandate and effectively to say it's an honor system? And again, I'd ask you, for your own family, children and the like who have not been vaccinated, are you going to have them going in these stores now?
Look, I think I come back to what I said. I think we need to judge our own individual circumstances. I would, if I was in a congregate setting with a lot of mixed people who I didn't know whether they were or were not vaccinated, I probably would keep a mask on my kids. I was in a grocery store just yesterday. Everyone was masked inside the grocery store, including me and including my children. But I probably would keep a mask on my kids a little bit longer, another week or two. I think prevalence is really collapsing around the country. And we're going to be at a point where there's very little infection and the individual risk to a person is low if you're dealing with an otherwise immunocompetent person. But, you know, the bottom line is that the risk is really collapsing all over the country. We weren't going to be able to keep these mask ordinances in place much longer. We've been at this 16 months. So I think the worst you can say is maybe CDC was a week or two early with this, but I don't think that we're going to pay a price for that.
You said your kids would still be wearing masks inside. Are you still wearing masks if you go to a store or something?
Well, I was wearing a mask yesterday, even though I'm fully vaccinated, because I was with my children. So I wanted to show solidarity with my kids. You know, I don't feel at risk given the fact that I'm fully vaccinated. How do you take it off when
you're making your kids wear it? That's
well,
tricky.
You don't. I mean, what's the downside of keeping it on? Right, but you don't take it off. What's the downside of keeping it on?
I mean,
you're not getting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at a point right now culturally where people accept masks. You're not going to be objectified. There was a great study done years ago that showed that if you wore a mask in an airport, people stayed further from you. So the distance that people would create between you and themselves was further when you had a mask on. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think now people, if someone's wearing a mask, they're not going to think you're necessarily odd or sick.
No, and that's the thing. I feel so bad. You know, I have two kids who are young enough that they don't qualify for the vaccines. They're not old enough for that at this point. And we're going to make them, just the two of them, wear a mask while the rest of us run around without one. I mean, that's the hardest thing, to ask them to sacrifice when we're not. And it's been hard enough to ask them to give up so many things to this point. I mean, that's the quandary that this kind of puts us in.
But you know what? By June, nobody was going to be wearing masks. By June, I think the prevalence is going to be sufficiently low in this country that we're just not going to be concerned about it.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.